Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. We've been getting a ton of questions lately about, well, real estate. You want to know what's hot, what's not, and where the smart money's going. So today, we're taking a deep dive into a really specific opportunity. We're talking about the Dwarka Expressway. It's an area that's been absolutely exploding, and we're going to break down exactly why.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The Dwarka Expressway is the place to be right now, but there are some very specific things you need to know if you're going to make the right moves.
Right. And one of the biggest things we're hearing from you is, how do I find a good plot of land near the Dwarka Expressway? And not just any plot, but one that's registered so you can get a loan and fits within, let's say, a 2.5 to 3 crore budget.
It's a tough ask. Like you said, land prices have been on an absolute tear.
Oh yeah, we're talking a 5-time increase in value in just the last 4 or 5 years. Just to give you an idea, in areas around Sector 109, land that was going for 45,000 per square yard is now closer to 2.5 lakh per square yard. I mean, that's just not huge.
It really is. I think that kind of appreciation speaks volumes about the kind of growth this entire corridor is experiencing. You're right. It's not just about today's demand. It's a fundamental shift in the region's economic importance and infrastructure. This is a trend that looks like it could continue.
So with all this in mind, we caught wind of something pretty interesting. It's almost like a secret launch. A brand new plotted development with smaller plots, some pretty tempting price points, and it's right near two, count them, two expressways. Oh, and it's being developed by a builder with a seriously good reputation.
And this is huge because, as anyone who's been looking knows, finding a good independent plot that Abnes Amin Abnes Amdahan dream isn't easy these days, especially along the Dwarka Expressway.
Especially not with all that infrastructure going in. We're talking 99,000 crore being pumped into the Dwarka Expressway, which puts you super close to the ICC, the airport, part of Vandana Park, a bunch of golf courses, all within like 10, 15 minutes, and Global City. That's even closer, just
Yeah.
10 minutes from Sector 109. Okay, so we're looking for an independent plot, Dwarka Expressway, a specific budget, loan eligibility. Let's break down why finding all that is so difficult these days.
All right. So the first thing to understand is that independent plots, they have this kind of enduring appeal. There are tons of high-rise apartments going up, but a lot of people, they still want that piece of land they can call their own.
Makes sense. It's a different feeling, right? You're not sharing walls or common areas.
Exactly. But the thing is, you're not going to find many new plotted developments right on the expressway.
And why is that? Is it because developers just prefer building high rises? Seems like that's where all the action is.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you factor in the land costs, it makes sense. We're talking 50 to 150 crore per acre to acquire land in these areas. So high-rise projects, they just make more financial sense. You can fit way more units on the same piece of land. More units equals more profit. It's just how the math works out.
So basically, if you're our listener and you have a budget of, let's say, 2.5 euro, 3 crore, or maybe even a bit less, and you're looking for a registered plot so you can actually get a loan, the options are pretty limited.
Extremely limited. And the reason registered plots are so important is that they offer clear legal titles, which are a must for lenders. They need that security.
So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You want an organized development, something secure, but the prices for those are
Sky high. And then you have the alternative, which is going for unauthorized colonies, like what you see in New Palam Vihar. Might seem cheaper up front, but then you're missing out on planned communities, amenities, and often there's no clear registry, which makes everything way riskier.
Okay, so new developments are rare, prices are high. So for someone listening right now, where should they even start looking? Let's look at the options that are out there right now, starting with, let's call it the premium segment plots, 180 square yards and above.
All right, in the premium segment, BP, TP, Astoria, and Sector 102 is a big one. They're currently at about 2.5 lakh per square yard. And as we mentioned, that's a five-fold jump in value in recent years.
G99 in Sector 99 is another, developed by UPIN and QVC, same story there, 2.5 lakh per square yard. And again, that 4 to 5 times appreciation in the last 5 years.
Then you've got XPY on West End in Sector 108, and Rahe just got their project in Sector 108 as well, Rashtra. Rates have doubled there, which is still pretty impressive. But the key takeaway here is that for these premium plots, you're going to be looking at a starting price well north of 2.25 or 2.5 lakh per square yard.
So what about smaller plots, something under 180 square yards? A lot of these fall under the Deen Dayal Jana Azia Jana, right? What are we seeing there in terms of developers and prices?
Yeah, the Deen Dayal Yojana is kind of a different game. You've got True Habitat in Sector 112. Their rates are around 2.25 lakh per square yard. And then you've got Sector 99A, which is really active. There you've got Raheja with Vanya City, Space, Skywells, BST, Adani, Satya, whole bunch. They're averaging around 1.5, 1.6 lakh per square yard.
Okay, so the price per square yard is definitely more dot approachable. But what are the trade-offs? I mean, there's got to be a catch, right?
Right. There are definitely things you got to be aware of. For starters, a lot of these Dean Dayal plots, they require a big chunk of money up front. We're talking 30 to 60 days to make that payment, which can be a challenge for some buyers.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time to get your finances in order.
Exactly. And then there's a location. Some plots in Sector 99A are further inside, which means you might not have the same level of access and connectivity as those closer to the main roads. It's something to consider.
And what about amenities? I've seen some of these Deandale projects, and they seem a bit dot sparse.
You're right. Most Deandale developments are smaller in scale, usually capped at around 10 acres. That limits the space for those big, fancy amenities and dedicated commercial areas you might find in larger townships.
Okay, so we've covered the scarcity of independent plots, the premium options and their price tags, and the Deandale segment with its own unique considerations. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Tell us about this secret launch. What makes it stand out?
Well, the interesting thing about this development is that it seems to address a lot of the issues we've been talking about. Smaller plot sizes, which brings the overall cost down. The per square yard rate is reportedly very attractive, and they're offering longer payment plans. We're talking 1 to 1.5 years to complete your payment.
That's a lot more breathing room compared to those 30, 60-day deadlines.
Right. It makes it more manageable for people who need a bit more time to get everything sorted. And the best part, this isn't some tiny development. We're talking a township spread over 50 acres.
That's a big difference.
Huge difference. That means there's space for proper amenities, commercial areas, things that add value and make it a more desirable place to live. And when it comes to connectivity, this location is gold. 2 expressways just 2 to 5 minutes away.
2 expressways, wow. And one of those leads straight to GURGAON, right?
Yep. We're talking a 5 to 7 minute drive to GURGAON, which makes commuting a breeze.
All right, so break it down for us. Plot sizes, price, the nitty-gritty.
So plots range from 125 to 175, 178 square yards. The expected launch price is around 1.75 lakh per square yard, and there might be some wiggle room to negotiate since it's still early stages.
That price, combined with the smaller plot sizes, could make owning an independent plot, actually attainable for more people.
Absolutely. And here's another big plus. This project already has its RERA approval. That's a huge deal, especially for buyers who are concerned about transparency and accountability. RERA adds a level of security you don't always see.
And you mentioned earlier that the builder behind this has a really good track record, right?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that caught my eye. Unlike a lot of developers who are jumping into the Dean Dayal segment for the first time, this builder has a history. They've delivered multiple high-rise residential and commercial projects, and not just anywhere. We're talking prime locations in GURGAON. So you're not taking as much of a gamble on a first-time developer.
So let me get this straight. Smaller, more affordable plots, longer payment plans, a massive township with room for good amenities, fantastic connectivity, and a reliable builder. That sounds almost too good to be true.
It does check a lot of boxes, that's for sure. It's really addressing the biggest challenges people are facing when trying to find that apne zameen, apna asmaan, in a good location without the crazy upfront costs or the uncertainty of a new developer.
All right, so if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, I'm interested, where do I sign up? What's the best way for them to get more info, maybe even negotiate a better price?
The best way is to reach out directly. You can WhatsApp Secret Launch 11 to 885-848-4084 or give them a call at the same number. That'll get you in touch with the right people who can give you all the details and answer any questions you might have.
Consider this your heads up. An early bird opportunity for our loyal listeners to get a piece of this action at a really good price. And as always, when it comes to real estate, it's never a bad idea to get some professional advice. There are always risks involved, whether it's the builder, the market, or just the specifics of a plot. And hey, we're here to help. Even down the line, if you need help with resales or anything, consider us your partners in this.
You're right. Real estate is a big decision, and having a trusted guide can make a world of difference. We're here to help you navigate the market, assess the risks, and ultimately make the best choices for your individual needs.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something I want you to think about. Imagine owning land in a place like the Dwarka Expressway with a well-established developer and flexible payment options. What could that do for you? How could that change your future? Help you achieve that Apni Zamin Apna Asman dream? It's worth considering, right? Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.